Welcome back everyone. I've been digging through the archives on the hard drive and I've got a video I've never actually released about a carbon fibre seat post that was seized in an aluminium frame. So I thought I'll chop it down into something a bit more bite-sized from the 2 hours that it currently was, and I'll show you what I did on that one. It is quite an old video, so you'll notice the old workshop background, but I think the content is still pretty valid. So let me show you what I did on this one. So the customer tried to get this one out unsuccessfully, left it as it was, didn't realise it'd actually broken the seat post, so you can't ride this bike anymore. Obviously it's extremely dangerous or could be very uncomfortable. So this seat post is going to be kind of this long, potentially even longer. So there's an awful lot of seat posts to try and get out. So clearly the only way we're going to get this one out, being carbon fibre and aluminium frame, is to cut it out. So that's the plan on this one. I'm going to get rid of this broken bit, cut out the piece that's in the frame, clean up what's left inside the frame. I've got adjustable reamers, and then fit a new seat post with some grease this time. So let's make a start. So yeah, customers had a go at getting this one out, failed miserably unfortunately, and the only way you're getting this one out, being carbon fibre, is to cut it out. The first thing we need to do is find out how much is left in the frame. So we're going to use a spoke for that. I'm just going to drop this spoke down here until we can hook it onto the bottom of the seat post, which is there. You can quite easily feel that. Pull that out and see how much misery you've got ahead of you. So about 23 centimetres, 9 inches of seat post is stuck in this frame. We're going to use this saw, it's called a pad saw or jab saw, there's different names for it basically. You can adjust the length of the blade on this one, undo this piece, and you can pull out as much blade as you want. And it's got a basically reinforced steel back in there, so it's going to keep the blade nice and rigid while you're trying to cut it out. So what I'm going to try, I've never done it before, I've fitted 2 bearings to the end of this. Basically what that's going to do is roll across the inside of the frame and limit the cut depth of this to the thickness of the seat post, or at least that's my plan. I'm not sure if it's going to work. So that's sitting on the frame now. So basically I can saw this away for ages without being too concerned about cutting into the frame. So we'll extend the blade out to cover the 23 centimetres that we're trying to get, and then get cracking. The thickness of the seat post itself is around about 3 millimetres. So what I'm going to do is sort of cut out 2 slices, one there and one there. Then in theory this middle piece here will just peel out and we can crush the rest of it in with a chisel or something similar. But it's going to get a bit Heath Robinson to do that. I'm going to position the bike a bit more comfortably in the frame because I don't want to be stabbing up and down. I want to be cutting in and out really. So I'm just going to take the wheels off, get a little bit of weight off the frame, and then we can start cutting this. Like I say, what I've done there is I basically placed the frame so it's much easier for me to cut this in and out. So if you've got an adjustable stand like this, it's much easier. Like I say, my plan is to use this saw. I can feel that there, that's on the frame there. So my plan is I can't cut any deeper than the depth of that bearing, so we can go away at this all day long. I'm just going to put a cloth on this handlebar at the moment because it's just going to cover everything in dust. So if you are cutting carbon fibre, make sure you wear correct PPE, make sure you wear gloves, it's irritating to your hand, make sure you wear a mask obviously, and then yeah, just take your time, get cracking. So I'm just going to cut the slot, first slot here until we're in, so a new blade, keep it nice and straight at first, and then once it bites in, we can go for it. It might be easier with a carbon fibre blade. This is Part Tools carbon blade. It might cut it easier. We are cutting the first one down here, and that's all the way to the bottom of the seat post. Luckily carbon fibre is pretty easy to cut, so it just takes time really. It's not difficult to cut, but it does take a lot of time. So I'm just going to continue with this first slot, and then when I'm confident it's bottomed out to the frame, we'll move the frame around and do a second slot. I'm not convinced my rollers were helping, so I took them off. So you can see there basically there's a slot there and a slot there. Now in theory we should be able to just push this piece out now, and then once that's out the rest of it should follow fairly straightforward. So I'm going to get some out just to get in there. This is basically a curved chisel, it's the same profile as the seat post, so the idea of this is hopefully to get it behind this section we've just chopped out, get it peeled out. You have to be really careful with these though, because you can end up just putting it straight through the side of the frame. So this spray is called Carbomove. It's specifically designed for, like I say, carbon fibre. It's a release spray, so it's like your Plus Gas, your PB Blaster, but it's 3 times the price and specifically designed for carbon. So I've had good success with this on carbon components, not particularly with seat posts, but I'll get some in there anyway. This stuff's so expensive. It's about £20–25, something like that. Very expensive stuff. Okay. I've done this a few times before and it's just super time consuming, but it does get it out in lots of bits. Yeah, more sawing. I'm not convinced this has gone through all the way because that should be hopefully peeling out by now, so I'm just going to saw a bit more. It's kind of going behind it now. I'm literally just going to hammer this through. But what you got to make sure is to get this chisel like it's going down the side of the tube. Don't make sure you don't go at an angle because you'll put it straight through the seat tube. So I'm pulling this back at the same time, so it's kind of scooping underneath the seat post. I'm just going to break pieces off now like this. So it's not really working, so I'm going to switch to a adjustable seat post reamer. The idea of this, you move these nuts up. The further you move this up, the wider these get. So I've got a set of 3 of these. So it's going to matter of getting one in there first. Ream the carbon fibre out, basically a 1/10 of a millimetre at a time. Once you get it in there, it will get dieting in there. Oh, that'll go. So obviously we've got to get all the way down to the bottom of the seat post, 23 centimetres. So there's a guy in the UK called the Seatpost Man, surprisingly enough. Gets these out 100% of the time, any combination of any frame, any shape, size. Problem is, he won't tell anybody how he does it. Don't blame him, to be fair. Trade secrets and all that. Right, that's gone all the way down there for its first cut. Hopefully it'll come out with a lot of carbon stuck to it like this. So that's basically cutting chunks of carbon out there like that now. So I'm going to move this up now, a few millimetres. Put it back down, keep going. Right, so none of that was really working in the end, so I have to revert to basically just chiseling slices out, and all of a sudden it seems to have broken free and gone in there. So sorry I didn't film that, but it's literally getting so tedious. I've been here for probably an hour already. I think that just knocked itself through now, so I'm going to see if I can grab hold of it and pull it out, hopefully. Hoping these super long pliers will be able to grab something and pull it out. It just seems to all of a sudden move, so I'm hoping it's just broke free. I'm not convinced. Even if it hasn't, there's more than enough in here to get the seat post past its minimum insertion mark, which is kind of makes it rideable again. Yeah, I don't know how far down that is, but that's gone pretty far. Right, what can I use? Ideally you'd want something like a slide hammer, but it's going to be very difficult to get a slide hammer in there and get it hooked in underneath what's left of the post, so it's going to be a bit, again, make it up as you go along really. So I'm just trying to hook this underneath what's left of the seat post now and get it moving, because I'm pretty sure it's broke loose. I'm going to try the reamer just slightly tighter and see if that'll just grip it. So this is set to pretty much the size it's in there now. I'm hoping it'll just grab hold of it and pull it out with it. So I'm going to twist it and pull it up at the same time, and hopefully. Sounds like I'm murdering a puppy. So that's knocked that seat post right down again. So this is definitely freed up, 100%. That's moved 2 inches back down again now. So this is a slide hammer, but the idea is this piece here would expand underneath or into the seat post. But to do that, you need to tighten this nut, and clearly that nut's halfway down the side of the frame, so you can't do that. But what I'm hoping is I can just catch a little bit of the nut even basically on there. If I can't. Yeah. So I'll try it without the hammer piece, just to proof of concept. So that's hooking on something there, which I think is the seat post. If you can get enough room to get that hammer on there when you're doing that, which you almost have, but you need this depth here for the hammer, then you get a lot more momentum behind it, and that'll potentially drive it out. Like that. That's coming right up now. There's the seat post. Look, you can see the top of the seat post. So it's almost out. So slide hammer is momentum now, so you basically pull this up and hit it against here, and it acts as a hammer. It's called a slide hammer. Not going to work, it's just not enough to grip. It just gets stuck. I think I'm going to use every tool in the workshop by the time this is up. Grip this and see if we can turn it. They're trying to twist it in the frame, but it's not having it. We're super confident that's on the bottom of the seat post there. And then I'm going to hammer this back with an actual hammer, because I can't fit the slide hammer on there to give me any momentum. So I'll try and slice this piece of carbon down here and chisel it off. Alright, it's super free now. I can literally twist this in here like that. Oh, I think we're about there now. There you go. We're out. There's the slot that I cut. Look at that, almost perfect. And we're out. Didn't even look particularly seized, but certainly put up a fight anyway. Alright, good. Let's clean this up. I'm going to run the flex hone down here all the way now and see how we're looking then. Alright, new seat post, 31.6. How does that fit? A bit tight. I think we'll get the reamer in here because there's obviously a bit of an edge there somewhere. That's probably been the problem all the way along. Let's see if we can get that in. Get some cutting fluid on it as well. Try that for size now. That's much better. Perfect. Good. Right, so I'm going to pull the bottom bracket now, clean out all the rubbish that's dropped through there, clean the frame, grease the seat post, put it back together. Done. So I think ultimately that seat post was actually oversized. It was a wrong size seat post for the frame and someone's managed to wedge it in there. I'm not sure it's particularly chemically seized. As you saw at the end, that piece moved very, very freely and eventually we got it out. But yeah, it's not the first time I've seen that. People have wedged a seat post in that's far too big. 0.2 millimeters, it might look like it will go. Once you're committed past this, it's stuck. So make sure you get the right size seat post, guys. If you're not sure, speak to your manufacturer, look through the spec sheets on the internet. Normally you'll find it somewhere out there. You can buy a set of gauges that you actually put in there and there's numbers marked on here. It tells you what size seat post your bike's supposed to be. Probably not everybody's got a set of these, normally for a bike shop. But yeah, get it measured, get the right sizing, guys, otherwise you've got this issue. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy that, you might want to check out these other two videos on seat post removal. Some successful, some not quite so successful. Thanks for watching.